I received a comment recently from a foreigner living in Slovakia. It was thoughtful, but sharply critical. They admitted that the countryside is beautiful and the castles are magnificent, but they argued that customer service is generally terrible, that people don't smile, that the food is heavy and bland, state employees finish early, and the police issue fines without warning. And then someone else said, rather more harshly, Slovak people are grumpy, even angry all the time. No small talk amongst strangers in the street or shops, sad faces in public transport, distanced, even rude behaviour of employees in restaurants, and even worse in public offices. Now, before anyone rushes to defend Slovakia, or to agree completely, I think it's worth slowing down. Because when we visit another country, we don't approach it with childlike innocence. We bring our own expectations with us. And, as everyone knows, expectations are the mother and father of disappointment. Sometimes what feels like rudeness, inefficiency, or dysfunction is actually just a different set of priorities. And then at other times it is actually rude, dysfunctional inefficiency. So let's go through this carefully and separate fact from fiction. I'll start with the easier stuff like food before getting into the more meaty topics like smiling and customer service. And I'll finish with some survival tips. I guess bland is a matter of taste, but personally I've had some of the most delicious things I've ever eaten in Slovakia. Just take this little beauty for example. It's a hovedzi vrabec, or beef sparrow, a lovely piece of slow-cooked meat served with the most delicious red cabbage and some Czech-style bread dumplings. Heavy, though, is probably fair. I mean, I made a whole podcast about how Slovaks love their carbohydrates. But let's put this into proper historical context. Slovakia is traditionally agricultural, with long, cold winters. And the traditional food is appropriately simple and calorific. You don't want to go out to work in the fields on a salad and a piece of avocado toast, after all. So, yes, Slovak dishes tend to be on the starchy side. Personally, I find this absolutely joyful. What could be better than a double-carb meal like granadierski pochod? But to each their own. As for state employees finishing early, well, in fairness, they start early too. But if you're coming from a 24/7 service economy, I can imagine how you might be a little frustrated by early closing and niestrankové dni, days when public offices are, ironically, closed to the public. But that's just a reflection of different priorities and a different approach to work-life balance. I've definitely had some experiences in Slovak offices, but I don't think I'd begrudge people finishing at 3 o'clock and going home to their families. And police? I can't really comment much on this one. I have a terrible and completely irrational fear of being arrested and deported, so I start sweating profusely every time I even see a policeman. I can say that in the 27 years I've lived here, the 2 or 3 times I've been stopped by police have all been entirely fair enough. Yes, I was speeding, and yes, I did turn right when I shouldn't have. Social behaviour is, of course, more complicated. In the UK, politeness is almost a public performance. Smiling at the cashier, saying hello to people that you pass on the street, saying sorry when someone stands on your foot in the lift, softening interactions with small talk about the bloody weather. It doesn't mean we've formed a bond, it's just social lubrication. In much of Central Europe, things work differently. Warmth is not reflexive. It's generally reserved for private settings. Public interaction, by contrast, is often neutral, minimal, even abrupt by British standards. It's definitely possible to over-apologise, and smiling at strangers in the street is more likely to be regarded as suspicious than friendly. In Britain and the US, we're so used to public smiling that we sometimes treat it as a moral obligation. Remember when Brie Larson was repeatedly told by commentators that she should smile more? The implication was not just look happier, it was conform to the expected public performance. That expectation doesn't really exist in the same way in Slovakia. No one is under pressure to decorate the public space with their face. This doesn't mean that people are less kind. It just means that kindness is concentrated rather than broadcast. And this is where many visitors to Slovakia quietly struggle, including myself when I first came here. To someone from a performative politeness culture, this neutrality can feel cold or grumpy, but that's often misinterpretation on the part of the observer, rather than malice on the part of the Slovak. After living half my life in Slovakia, I've made peace with most of this. And once you let go, it's actually quite liberating. I never much liked small talk anyway, and I have a bit of a resting Slav face at the best of times. When I lived in the UK, people would look at me and ask, "What's up with you?" Absolutely nothing. I'm totally fine. This is, just my relaxed face. As for customer service, I'm not going to lie. There is some truth to the accusations. After all, I've complained about it bitterly myself on innumerable occasions. I remember when I first came to Košice and I naively went shoe shopping. I have fairly large feet, a 12 or 13 in the UK, which is as much as a 49 in Europe. I vividly remember asking, "Nie macie 49? Do you have any 49s?" The shop assistant laughed, like properly laughed in my face. Now, I understand the shop probably doesn't want to get stuck with unsold clown shoes, but a derisive snort wasn't quite the customer service experience that I was hoping for. But in a way, that was better than the alternative, which is to be told, "Just wait here for a few minutes, I'll check in the back for you." Only then to be told that you're completely out of luck and you've wasted 10 minutes. Or, worst of all, they'll say, "Ano, chodźcie so mną." Yes, come with me. And then they'll lead you past shelves of perfectly nice shoes to the furthest, most cobwebbed corner of the shop, where there are 3 pairs, all of which appear to have been designed with livestock in mind. Niech se patrzy. And don't get me started on what happens if something goes wrong with your product. In the UK, you'll typically just take it back to the shop and they'll give you your money back. Simples. In Slovakia, there is a special system for such situations called Reklamácia, which is apparently common across Central Europe. I can't even translate it with a single word, maybe warranty claim? But it seems less like customer service and more like a test of endurance. Basically, you take the product back to the shop and then leave with neither money nor product. Then you wait for up to 30 days, after which they will return the repaired item or they'll give you your money back. If the same problem happens again, you'll be without product and money for another 30 days. Only if they are unable to repair it, or if the same fault occurs 3 times, will many shops actually refund your money. But why is this so different in Slovakia and the UK? In so-called high-trust cultures like the UK, the citizens tend to trust each other and institutions. According to a 2022 survey, almost twice as many people in the UK believe that most people can be trusted, 43% compared to 22% in Slovakia. Institutions and businesses in the UK assume that most people are acting in good faith, so systems are designed for speed, convenience, and minimal friction. If a small percentage of people abuse refund policies, that loss is often seen as an acceptable trade-off for maintaining smooth processes and customer goodwill. In Slovakia, the system assumes you might be trying something, so it checks, and checks again. This isn't about hostility, it's about risk management. When historical experience has taught people that rules are bent, goods are scarce, or institutions can't always be relied upon, safeguards become embedded. Formal processes like warranty claims reduce discretion because discretion can invite corruption. And they protect both parties at the risk of being slow and bureaucratic. So the difference isn't moral, it's structural. High-trust cultures are willing to absorb small financial losses to save time and preserve fluidity. Lower trust cultures are more willing to absorb time and cause inconvenience in order to prevent loss and reduce abuse. So where does this all leave us? Bland food? Fiction. Heavy food? Fact. Offices close early? Fact. Police? Insufficient data. Less public smiling? Fact. Grumpy or angry all the time? Fiction. And poor customer service? Yeah, that's often fact. As much as it is possible to better understand these things through historical context and sociology, there are definitely times when it all gets a bit much. Shop assistants who just don't give a flying fig and make you feel like they're doing you a favour in serving you. Or conversely, those who watch your every move convinced that you're about to shoplift absolutely everything. This is perhaps especially unpleasant for people who have had a taste of the forbidden fruit of more customer-orientated customer service. So for those people, which includes both my wife and daughter, I have prepared a small survival guide. Firstly, it's worth recognising that Slovakia today is not the Slovakia of 1998. Customer service is definitely better than it was, and it continues to improve. Younger, more widely travelled staff bring a fresh approach. Competition and staff training have increased, and EU law has standardised protection. That said, public-facing warmth doesn't develop overnight in a society whose transition from communism to market economy was relatively recent. Expect problems and treat them as future amusing stories for your students, partners, or grandchildren. Public offices close at 3. People look sad on public transport. Those are mostly you problems, so just deal with it. There really are some great shops and restaurants out there. I can't remember the last time I had genuinely bad service or bad food in a restaurant, and this is partly because I stick to places I know will not disappoint. Many high street shops, such as Lidl, no longer insist on the rigours of Reklamácia and will simply refund your money. By choosing wisely, you can save yourself a lot of stress and apply a tiny bit of consumer pressure at the same time. Online retail, banking and other services have removed a lot of the remaining friction from day-to-day existence, at least for me. I can now order several pairs of identical size 49s without any human contact whatsoever. And, as an added bonus, there are no more traumatic flashbacks to shoe shopping expeditions with my mum when I was a kid. Ugh, the smell of leather, the horror. So, is Slovakia perfect? Of course not. No country is. But some of what frustrates foreigners is not dysfunction, but just difference. Every country looks strange when measured against another country's habits, and every country makes its own compromises. The question isn't whether it's perfect, it's whether you are willing to understand it and deal with it on its own terms. Because if you stay somewhere long enough, you stop asking, why isn't this like home? And start asking a simpler question. Do I want to build a life here? And for me, the answer is yes. I'm James Blore. This has been the Blorecast. Thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye-bye.